Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously, Call of Duty's cheating issue is no small thing. It's no secret. For years and years and years now, really ever since MW 2019 and the cross-play era of COD was started, cheating in COD has been a massive problem, and it took years for them to even get an anti-cheat fully active and functioning in game. And then since then, obviously, Ricochet, the anti-cheat, has been up and down. For a few days at a time, it feels like it's doing a really good job. And then for a few weeks at a time, feels like there's cheaters in almost every single lobby. It's been a ongoing situation, a never-ending situation, it seems like, and one that's always a very, very hot topic here in the COD community. And recently, I was browsing the Black Ops 6 and the Warzone subreddits, and I came across a post that had a ton of upvotes, and it is someone detailing the history of Call of Duty's anti-cheat updates and experiences, going off of this year where they said to have some of their largest yet, and it kind of calls them out for lying or being way more generous with their descriptions of things versus the reality of what's actually going on with the anti-cheat. Now, this is just a random Reddit account, right? Distinct ad 1567 kind of sounds like a Xbox generated gamer tag. They do say they're a software engineer, so they're speaking with a larger understanding of how some of this works. They don't really need to necessarily for this, but I think it adds some credibility to their post because this is largely just going through and reliving some of Call of Duty's posts and talking about the timing of them and then the aftermath. But I read this through and I was like, this is actually really close to an idea that I wanted to talk about it for a video with the anti-cheat and what's going on with communication there and how we're just in this endless loop of they say they're going to fix it. We're like, okay, we don't really buy into that. And then they do some updates and like, oh, maybe it's a little bit better. And then the cheaters are back and then it's just the cycle, right? Interesting discussion here though, so let's get in. Since its beta phase, Black Ops 6 has been plagued by one recurring problem: cheaters. Despite repeated promises from the developers, all these community updates that we've seen, all these various different posts, the Team Ricochet COD updates accounts tweeting out stuff, right? The cheating issue has not only remained, it's evolved. PC and console players alike are dealing with blatant, consistent abuse, and at this point, it's not frustrating, it's insulting. I agree. They go out, they charge insane numbers for the battle pass every season, the base game, the million store bundles, all this, that. It is the top FPS game on the planet. And yet it's got the anti-cheat of something that came out on Steam 3 days ago and was developed by 2 people, it seems like, right? It's just the consistency of what the game is versus what the anti-cheat is not linear, and it should be. So let's go through the history of Black Ops 6's anti-cheat promises and what went wrong. The beta phase, the first red flag. I like how this is like a whole story. It's got chapters. From day one of the beta, cheaters were spotted in public matches. Literally, right when the beta first dropped, people were running into aimbots, wall hacks, etc., which everyone was up in arms about. Everyone's like, wait a second, it's a new COD. What's going on here? How are there cheats? Is someone leaking the code? What's going on? Keep in mind, there is the shared development on the engine for Call of Duty titles, and that probably has a huge, impact in what's changing year over year in terms of Ricochet and the cheating capabilities, right? If the engine's always staying the same, only so much can be updated. People were using aimbots, wall hacks, and automated scripts filling the lobbies, ruining any meaningful gameplay. At the time, Activision and the developers promised these issues were being addressed before the full launch. They said, hey, it's the beta. We're going to have a large anti-cheat update coming with the launch of Black Ops 6. Players were hopeful, expecting real action when the game launched. They talked about how they had caught a ton of cheaters in the beta. Then they previewed, hey, launch, major Ricochet update. So at launch, Ricochet anti-cheat and another letdown. At launch, Activision rolled out Ricochet Anti-Cheat with promises that cheaters would be detected and banned within an hour of gameplay. They made several talking points on this. The announcement sounded great: machine learning based detection, proactive measures, even hardware bans. And proactive updates with Ricochet is not something we've seen a ton. For a long time here on the channel, we've talked about how a major flaw with Ricochet is that it's a reactionary anti-cheat. It reacts after someone has cheated, not before they have cheated, even though the files are all on their system the same, right? But the reality did not match the promise. Day one, cheaters showed up using the same tools they did during the beta. Many players reported running into obvious aimbots and ESP hacks in their first sessions. It did not live up to the hype. And then in Season 1, Call of Duty actually does something they rarely do. they admit that they got it wrong. They admit that they did not do enough. Call of Duty doesn't like to swallow their pride much. They are very much so, hey, we set all these records for player count. Hey, we did the most retention-based game yet. We had the best retention of any COD in years, right? Very little is it, oh, yeah, we screwed that up. We're gonna fix that. Now, obviously they address bugs and glitches and things like that, but large scale things like the anti-cheat, the servers, skill-based, very rarely are they ever admitting faults on this stuff. But when Season 1 dropped, the developers finally acknowledged what the player base already knew. Their systems were not catching cheaters fast enough, especially in ranked. They literally came out and said, hey, yeah, we screwed up. You know, we launched ranked play with a state of the anti-cheat that was not good enough. That's on us. They claim to be collecting better data and making improvements, yet matches were still riddled with suspicious behavior. Players also began noticing the bugs, broken hit detection. We had fake hit markers showing up with server-side blood splatters versus hit markers not being real. Challenge tracking issues, audio dropouts, basic things that should have been addressed in patches, but were not. Not sure the full correlation with some of that stuff. Hit detection is definitely one of them. The other stuff, not as much. Then we get Season 2. There's more numbers, but no results. With Season 2, we got another Ricochet update. They made a whole blog detailing this. They had a whole community update post for Ricochet saying, hey, Season 2 is going to be a kernel level driver update, major updates, for server-side detections. Season 3 is going to be more of the same. The devs claimed 228,000 accounts were banned since launch. They also stated that 23% of cheaters were removed before even entering a match, and yet the cheating did not stop. Even worse, new issues cropped up. People using controller spoofing tools like ReWAS to gain aim assist on PC with keyboard and mouse. These weren't hacks in a traditional sense, but they were exploiting the system, giving an unfair advantage, especially in ranked. Console players were also no better. Tools like Cronus, Zims, other ones that I've never even heard of, Titan 2, allowed players to run scripts for perfect recoil, rapid fire, AI assisted movements, etc. Like we all know about Cronus's. We've asked for better and stricter detections on these for years. Fortnite has them in a very consistent way. Call of Duty not having them right now, there's really no excuse for it. These devices bypass detection by acting like normal controllers, even though they are anything but. Then we got Season 3. Now we're in Season 3. The devs have gone quiet. We did see a slight Ricochet anti-cheat update, blog, and details with Season 3. But there's been no update on anti-cheat progress, no transparency about what's being done. They kept saying, oh, we have updates, but we can't detail what they are because we don't want to give any cheaters an edge, which is understandable, but there really wasn't many other, crazy updates or, in-depth details regarding what else that we should expect will improve or what will change. The in-game store, though, fully stocked. More skins, more bundles, more monetization. The game is pumping out money, but that's not being put back in to make it better with an anti-cheat and whatnot. Like, imagine if they did a store bundle that was like, hey, this bundle is $15. Every purchase that this bundle gets is going towards an anti-cheat. Do you think that bundle would sell a ton? Because I feel like it probably would. The bugs from launch are still present. That's still even true now. Cheaters are still in every playlist, and now the silence speaks louder than anything. We really aren't seeing anything being posted or anything being talked about with anti-cheat updates, which is unfortunate. All right, slight post-edit Zach here. As I was in the midst of editing this video, we ended up getting a new anti-cheat update because my COD timing is just seriously unreal, I'm telling you. Anyways, this is more of like a recap update rather than talking too much about future things, so it's a very similar song and dance to what we've seen before. They talk about taking down a certain number of accounts, taking down a certain number of cheat developers. There are still a lot of loopholes to go around those things though, and there's not much new details to be had in that regard. So they have talked about it a little bit more since the time that I initially recorded this, but still not many, groundbreaking things being brought up here. So cheating in 2025, how it works. He goes on to explain a few things. On console, you can have these various controller scripts. There's spoofing, so you can have keyboard and mouse input with aim assist. AI-based macros are becoming more and more of a thing, unfortunately, giving players recoil control, auto fire, movement assists. Then obviously on PC, that's where things are crazy. Wall hacks, aimbots, etc. We know about that. Obviously, it's possible to cheat on both. A large bulk of the insane cheats are going to be on PC, but there's also quite a few cheats going on console, Cronus being one of those main ones, obviously. These aren't rumors or paranoia. They're well-documented, purchasable tools that are advertised as undetectable, and they are everywhere. We still have multiple bugs present at the same time as well, so we're not seeing updates and fixes for things that were present at the start. We're not seeing updates and fixes for the anti-cheat, despite it seeing numerous updates and claims that things were getting better, but it just ends up being the cycle. The final thoughts here. Black Ops 6 is not a bad game at its core, but the cheating, and I fully agree, like Season 1 of Black Ops 6, outside of like the cheating issues, the core gameplay and everything was fantastic. The game had the numbers to back that up as well. And then season 1 dropped and it broke so many things, and then we started to see even more of a spiral of cheaters that everything went downhill, of course, and now it's trying to recover with Verdansk and everything. The cheating, the bugs, and most of all, the silence have turned what should have been a flagship title into a frustrating mess. Players are tired of being told it's going to get better, then nothing changes. We've seen the same cycle 3 times now. Empty promises followed by PR silence. Then the store updates come. We get other random content, Ninja Turtles, weed bundles, everything like this. Fix the games and then sell the skins, and then he sources some stuff with some of the blogs there, goes into what he does. I'm a network engineer, software developer, cybersecurity professional. So has an actual background and track record with this stuff. But like I said at the start, it's this loop of, hey, things are really bad, we're gonna update. Things are okay for a little bit, whether it's a few days or a few weeks, and then the cheat developers catch up. And it seems like every time we see this update, it takes a long time for Ricochet to update and not as long for the cheat developers to update. And so we're left with this, 80-20 split of 80% of the time the cheats are really, really bad, and 20% of the time they're not as prominent, but still there. Cheats will never be non-existent in any online title at this point in time. Things are getting too advanced, AI stuff is improving. It's this constant tug of war. Call of Duty, though, is just consistently on the losing end of this tug of war, it feels like. And as this, post mentions here, we still keep getting these same promises, and it's kind of the same wording every time as, oh, we're gonna fix this. We've banned X number of accounts, this many thousands of accounts, right? But then they can just create a new one and continue doing the same thing, and then that one will get banned. It's just this never-ending cycle that Call of Duty seems to be a step behind frequently. And it's not really a new scenario, but it being detailed like this, I think, is an interesting way to put it, and it lines the timeline up pretty nice, sort of showing that, yeah, since the start, literally the beta of Black Ops 6, we've just kind of been going around in this circle without any real progression or, fixes. Maybe temporary, but the issues keep coming back, which is really unfortunate. I really just hope Call of Duty would go all in on a true anti-cheat, whether that is completely overhauling Ricochet, which is something they could do, or going in and buying a different anti-cheat, using something similar to Riot's Vanguard or whatever Fortnite's got going on. I thought they used like easy anti-cheat or something. I don't know. But there's clearly other games out there that are larger than Call of Duty, for instance, Fortnite, that do not have these same constant situations. And that's not to say there's not cheaters over in Fortnite, or there's not cheaters over in, Valorant, or, these other games, Apex, League of Legends, whatever the case is. You can go down the list. But are they to the same extent, and are they as frequent, and is it the same cycle all the time is what Call of Duty's got going on? Largely no, which is a really bad look for COD given their status in the gaming, realm. They are one of, if not the biggest name in gaming, and have been for 2 decades plus. And yet, their anti-cheat and their cheating situation is one of the worst, it seems like. Again, that's just doesn't really line up with how it should be. It should be a lot more linear there, and it's very flip-flopped. Anyways, it's gonna wrap things up for this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on it. It would be really appreciated. Of course, if you're new to the channel, each and every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So when we do see anti-cheat updates or other things happen, you guys know this is the place to be to stay up to date with all of that. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.